If you want to have a great conversation, simply say this to somebody. Tell me what you're working on and what you're interested in. You'll never have to say another word again. Nobody ever asks people about what they really care about. And if you can find out what they're interested in and draw them out, they'll talk to you for hours because they really want to have that conversation. And then you'll find it incredibly interesting. I had a senior meteorologist in my class, and I sat next to him at dinner so I could talk about chaos theory, because that's what weather theory is. And I wanted to know why the models don't work as well as they used to. And he gave me all the insight to it, and it's the same way in the firearms industry. They had senior meteorologists that managed the models and looked at what the model was saying and then used their experience to overlay and say, well, we've seen this, let's see what happens if this happens. And then the predictions became accurate. And he did machine and man, now it's just become machine. And that's the argument about timers. You know, if you just pursue speed, is it dangerous? Yes. It's just as dangerous if you pursue just accuracy. It's just different equations of time. So Dale Carnegie said, if you aspire to be a good conversationalist, be an attentive listener. To be interesting, be interested. Ask questions the other person will enjoy answering. Encourage them to talk about themselves and their accomplishments. And you will learn incredible things. People are incredibly interesting. I like people. I just don't like groups of people because it becomes mindless at that point. I like to sit with somebody and have a deep conversation, which is the true mark of an introvert. If you can get talking about something you love, you enjoy it, you go for hours. And just listen, like we were talking about. Don't seek the answer, seek to listen. I fail in this. Sometimes I fail as a husband especially. I don't listen. I react quickly. I'm a very quick thinker. And I've learned to try to settle back and listen to what's being said to me in the way it's being said, and listen to the information. So when I go to dinner tonight, I do this. And I ask you questions, and I don't talk nearly as much as I can, although if sometimes there's a dearth, I'll fill it in and get everybody going again. This is a great way to be as a human being. Just a sound piece of advice. You need to know yourself and be true. I know who I am. I'm the best version of Brian that's ever existed. Brian Hill, me, not just Brian's in general. All right? I'm the best version right now, but it's going to get better. I promise you, it's going to get better, my love. I'm going to improve. I'm going to continue to improve, and I'm going to have one last question before I die. What could I have done better? I'm always going to be thinking about it. What's going to happen on the next journey? I know who I am. I know what I'm good at. I also know what I'm not very good at. There's a lot of things I don't do particularly well. I am a much better coach than I ever am a friend. I'm a really miserable friend because I live in the eternal now. And if you're not in front of me, the phone doesn't give me enough connection because I'm a body reader, I'm a face reader, I'm a connector. I need to feel the emotion behind it. I have a hard time with it. So I don't follow up. My wife teaches me, follow up, it's important. These people matter. It matters to you. You feel lonely. Don't be isolated. So she becomes my true speaker and tells me to go do it. The very thing I don't want to do sometimes. Your first impression is important. What is your style? How do you greet somebody and how do you connect? Listen, style is subjective, right? But I dress like what I am. If you saw me, you go, that guy teaches classes. All right, I have the tactical tuxedo on, I dress appropriately. And the funny thing is I've been to another instructor's class who doesn't do that. And who do you think they came and asked if they didn't know who the instructor was, what was next? Me. Because I look like the guy in charge because I fit their model. We knew it in martial arts. We wore uniforms for a reason. Same thing in the military. Military struggle greatly with the irregular guerrilla who doesn't use a uniform and hides inside of populations. They had to write a whole book about it, left of bang, to figure out how to get ahead of this process because people were hiding in plain sight. So make sure you don't hide inside of your class. Now what Scott Jelinski can do and what I can do are two very different things because you're not going to miss Scott. Scott is a giant Polish-Korean man. He's a big dude. You can't miss him. He's got a big personality. He's got a great smile. He can be whatever he wants.
He's awesome.
I look like everybody that goes to primary and secondary.
Oh.
Yep. I just hide inside that. I'm a normal 50-year-old white male, kind of doughy, with a beard. That's about everybody you see wearing tack pants. But I do it because that's my style. And when I travel, I have a style because it helps me get ahead of the problems. I try to greet everybody when they came in. I greeted all of you as you came in because it's important. I'm learning to remember people's names by making sure I greet them with it. And if I forget it, I take the punishment and I say, I'm sorry I forgot your name. Because it's really hard. Because everywhere I go, we all have the same names. You know, and it's the same group. And then I try to make a connection with you. I'm going to ask you questions. A lot of questions. What are you good at? You see me sometimes refer to Chris and I say, hey, listen, in our martial arts background, we do this. All right? And I talk to Getty, hey, in our shooting background, we do this. And then we talk about numbers. All right? You and I talked about photography. We talk about leadership because you've been in that role. All right? And she tells me the truth. And I ask her when I'm off base. All Right? So that's how I make connection with people. Your words, your actions, and your deeds have to match as a leader. If you say one thing and you do another, and then you allow another thing, is exactly what we talked about this morning. They have to be in harmony. You'll know because you'll feel fragmented if you don't. All right? If you believe practice is important and you don't practice, you're violating the very 3 words up there. You're preaching something you won't do, and your deeds don't match it. And you will always be in doubt because of that. So I practice because I preach it. I am trapped by my own methodology. Congratulations, Brian. You've made a system and now you're a part of it.